Happy New Year, everybody. Happy 2007, JTV Tiger. I've got some new friends for you here in the JTV studio. You're not going to believe what I found in Holland. The Playmobil company makes a floral shop. So I brought it back to add to our JTV set. Imagine how fun it would be for kids to grow up knowing about flowers and a flower shop. Those Dutch are so creative. This week, our project is an amusing take on a parade float for your table, featuring my newest discovery, straight from Holland, happy colored roses. Here's my newest discovery from Holland, happy colors. Happy colored flowers are systemically dyed. Look at this great brochure. They do gerbras and hydrangea and roses. Let's take a look at some happy color roses. Here they are. Now that's fantastic. What happens is somehow, secretly, they're systemically dyeing these roses and transferring the dye into the stem of the flower. It comes up and changes all the different petals to all different colors. These were all over Horty Fair in Amsterdam. And the thing that was the best was we saw kids with these rainbow roses walking around through Horty Fair, happy to be carrying something so novel. Now, how does systemically dyeing flowers work? Well, that brings us to our trick of the week. Science is our friend. This week, we'll talk about systemically dyeing a flower. It's a great experiment you can do at home using food coloring. We need a few key elements to help us with our trick. Hot water. I've filled our vase with warm water that's about 90 to 100 degrees. We're going to use a product from Design Master called Absorb It. It's a special dye that's formulated to give flowers the intense color that we look for in the floral industry. This dye has extreme pigment concentration, so we want to be very, very careful. If you're doing this at home with a son or a daughter, it's great to use food coloring. It won't make the flower as dark, but it will give you that technique without having the dangers of the pigments in this dye. Even though this is deep blue, you'll notice that it kind of looks pink until it goes in the water. Now that's some intense dye. The other thing we need are flowers that have been prepared. We prepared our carnations by having them out of cool temperatures and out of water for at least 3 hours. That makes the flower a little bit dehydrated and will make this process work faster. So, we choose our carnation. When we cut the stem, we cut between the breaks where the leaves are. If we would make this cut right where those leaf breaks are, it wouldn't absorb the dye as well. So we want to make sure that we do it in between those leaf breaks. And we place our flower in the dye. Now, what happens is really fun. The flower's thirsty, so it takes the colored water up the stem through all the vessels and capillaries and transfers it right up into the petal itself. So it's going to dye itself from the inside of the stem. That's part of the secret that they use for the happy roses. They won't let us know what it is exactly, but they've developed a process that makes all those multiple colors. You can do something similar yourself at home by taking the stem and splitting it down the middle. If we were to cut our stem down the middle like this, we could place that into 2 different colors and we might get a flower that was a bicolor. It's a fun science experiment and something to do that's really fun on a rainy day or when you don't have anything else better to do. It can dye a flower just about any color you want. So how do you get systemically dyed happy roses? You get them from your flower seller. Ask your local florist, ask your local wholesale florist. Anyone who sells flowers has access to happy roses. And they really are gonna make people curious. We'll use those in today's project. Let's get started on that now. We'll be using another new product today, extruded foam dots. We call them designer dots, and they come in great colors. We've got blue or pink. Today, we're going to use the new yellow. And we're going to make the base for our caterpillar float out of these designer dots. So first, I have 3 different sizes. There's a small, medium, and large. And I can line them up on my table and try and decide exactly how I want my caterpillar to look. We use a large one in the center. Maybe one more, because we know how a caterpillar gets fatter in the middle. And we'll trail off on the end with a couple of smaller ones. This will be his head, and maybe we'll swap that one out with another big one. That looks better. To put these together, we're going to use Koei wood picks. These are the 3-inch double-ended. They look a lot like a toothpick. So we place those into our foam just like that. Then we're able to push them together. They hold sturdy because the designer dots are a harder type of foam. It's extruded foam, so it's been recycled and colored for this type of use. Insert our wood pick and then push those pieces together. On this side, because this end's going to be up like this and it's going to have a little bit more pressure, I want to use 2 Koei wood picks so that I've got a little bit more stability. And we just continue to add our other pieces. It's great to lay this out on a counter so that you know exactly how big you're making it and what your final project is going to look like. I'm going to make his tail go up on the end because I think that makes him look a little bit more happy. There we go, the base for our happy caterpillar. Now, let's add some of his facial features and also his antenna. I've got these wonderful little picks from Plus One. They're a little Christmas novelty pick I found. I'm going to just trim off the 2 gold balls, and we'll use those as his antenna. Just stick them right into the designer dot. I also took a piece of wire and made a tongue for him. That's an easy thing to do using my wire tools that come from Parawire. Simply take a piece of the metallic wire and I grab it and twist it around. There's a lot of people that are doing jewelry right now, so a lot of the jewelry tools are available even at craft stores. But that allows us to make really artistic things with the wire. So I made a little bit bigger tongue for him, and we'll stick that in. And then we'll add his 2 eyes. Just went to a local craft store, got a couple of the big googly eyes. So he looks like this. Now, to give him just a little bit more personality and texture, I want to use some loamy pins and some green button pom-poms. Take our scissors and cut the button pom-pom off flush so that we don't have any stem on the back. Then we'll use our nip-X to shorten them. I hold on to both ends and trim in the middle so that this point doesn't go flying somewhere and we lose it and somebody gets hurt. We can take that shorter pin, place it directly through the pom-pom, and then we can place this on top. We'll do a row all the way along the back. Because the pom-poms are going to hold moisture for a long period of time, and we're going to spray them with a little bit of crowning glory, they'll last and dry perfectly on top of our caterpillar design. I got some ready ahead of time, so we'll grab those. If you're doing something fun like this with kids, you want to make sure that you trim the pins ahead of time. That's kind of a messy part and it could be a little bit dangerous. So make sure that you've got that done and then they can help you with this. There's no points left on the pin, so it's a little bit easier for those little hands to work with them. This is a fun project for you to do while you're watching the Rose Parade. Better yet, you can use the Rose Parade for inspiration. Remember that I chose the color palette for today, but you can make it as creative as you want to by choosing the colors that you like. Maybe pink and blue go better in your house, or maybe a special event might need something that's orange and lavender. You can decide. You make it as colorful as you want from the secrets you learn here at JTV. So now our caterpillar is ready to go into our arrangement. I've used an accent decor vase and I filled it with Artesia foam. We're going to use 2 large Koei wood picks to insert this into the foam itself. We'll add those to our center base. And then place him directly into the foam. There we go. Now it's time for us to add the flowers. We'll start off with a few flourishing carnations. That purple color looks so great because it's complementary to the yellow that we used in the designer knots, and also the acid green of the button pom-poms makes that color pop. They'll also be a good background for the happy roses a little bit later. If we wanted our arrangement to be two-sided, we could just add 2 more eyes to the back side of this as well. Adding our flourishing carnations down in close to the base is going to help conceal that foam area and where he was placed into the foam with the wood picks. We'll also use a little bit of hypericum. We're leaving the leaves on the hypericum too because that adds some foliage down in that based area as well. Because the Rose Parade floats were my inspiration for this arrangement, I want to use as many flowers as possible, so I'm not using a lot of foliage in this design. We'll add a few of the chartreuse green button mums. We'll also use some beautiful Matsumoto asters from Sun Valley. Sun Valley grows some of the prettiest flowers around, and they're based in California. I love the little yellow centers on these Matsumoto asters because it makes it have a happy appearance, like daisies. And that yellow and lavender together, complementary colors again, always cause excitement. These flowers have their own unique personality, and the quality I get from Sun Valley, always perfect. There, it's starting to look great. It's time for the happy roses. Look at how colorful that looks. It's just like a rainbow inside one flower. Happy flowers are one of those novel things that we have in the floral industry. Maybe they're not for everybody, but there's going to be a certain market that those talk to directly. I love that kids are fascinated by them. And I think because they're their own little science experiment, it really is fun to have them in an arrangement. Each one is completely different from another one too, so that's another great captivating thing about having them inside an arrangement. I found this ribbon the other day, and it was perfect because it goes along with this theme that we have. And remember how we use ribbon at JTV. We use it as a design element. We don't make a bow out of it. Because it has a pattern that's square, I'm going to cut it right on the line of that square. And I can feed this right into my design. I like the fact that it's just kind of looping through there and I haven't inserted it real tight. You know I've showed you that trick before, but in this case, I want it to just kind of move like a caterpillar through the design. We'll add one more on the back side. There. And what's our final step at JTV always? That's right, crowning glory. Making sure that we get all of our little button pom-poms too, because it seals the molecular structure of the flower and makes it last 26% longer. There we go. A happy caterpillar for Happy New Year. We had a great trick of the week. We learned how to systemically and scientifically dye flowers. Although roses, like our happy roses, are colored professionally by the experts. Happy flowers, blue, rainbow, or any color that you want are available from your flower seller. Our centerpiece was inspired by the Tournament of Roses parade, and it's filled with fun and sure to pique the interest of the curious.